Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. In the past, couple of months, we've been talking about modes, those unusual scales that have special colors and textures. And most particularly, we've gotten into modal saturation, using 6 or 7 notes from a mode to create a kind of a texture. Modal saturation is almost always the result of pattern playing. And so today I've got 6 examples of patterns, interlocking patterns a lot of the time, and a lot of them in unusual time signatures. This kind of music is a special sort of instrumental form. It has its place in ambient music, in minimalism, and as a pianist, I'm particularly interested in it. Let's take a look at them today. Well, first of all, if this is the second or third video of mine you've seen and you're getting something out of the channel, and I hope you are, and you're not subscribed, now's the time to subscribe. The community's growing at a really increasing pace, which I love seeing. And I hope it's a group of musicians, composers, arrangers, producers who want to use music theory to their own ends, who want to understand perhaps even something they already know but don't know they know. There's different levels of knowing. You can not know something and not even know you don't know it, right? We know that. But it's also possible to know something and not know you know it. So there's this sort of fine line that we're always walking when we learn new stuff. And I think it's fun to examine those kinds of things. I hope this is music theory for everyone. I hope it's something you'll find useful. Well, talking about modes and patterning, the interaction of interlocking patterns can be a little bit confusing. And so if you have some understanding of meter and of modes, this will help a lot. But I want to just drop in a couple of basic ideas as we go forward before we look at these 6 examples. Well, the first idea is a simple one, and that's the idea of the various modes of the major scale. The C Ionian mode, my computer correctly identifies, and then each mode as we move up the scale. When I get to G, it's Mixolydian, I'm going to drop down. When I get to A, Aeolian, the hard to manage Locrian mode, all those modes have color and texture. And I'm very happy to play a lot of the notes at once from a mode, but I don't want to just mash them down the way that I just did. For instance, if I get interested in the sound of the G Mixolydian mode, I might interpenetrate 2 shapes, this shape with this shape, and create a pattern. Well, that pattern is a result of 2 moving hands. I'm going up and down. I'm missing the third, so I might do something a little more radical and do 3 notes in one hand and 4 notes in the other. Well, now I have all of the notes of the Mixolydian mode. But I think, as you can hear, the pattern is a lot more involved because 3 notes cycling and 4 notes cycling takes 12 beats to cycle around. This is an example of interference of periodicity. And this is maybe the simplest version of it. I suppose maybe the simplest version would be 2 against 3. That's 6 beats to cycle around. And I've taken advantage of that idea in all of the examples that we're going to look at today. We'll pick them apart, so let's go back to the beginning and listen. My first example, it might be the hardest one of the bunch, is a simple 2-note phrase on the top that is a complicated 15 in groups of 2s and 3s. I won't bother to count it now because I think it might just make things harder for people to hear. And so these 2 notes, right, in a kind of a little rhythm. Meanwhile, the left hand plays these 5 tones. And those 5 tones happens 6 times before it changes its color from E minor to E flat major, E flat major. Lydian. Those two modal colors interact beautifully. Listen to how it works. It's the original isorhythm in the right hand. This is long. It's not going to change. It's going to stay a D and an A. It'll just stay there. And then the change to E flat major. Now we're back to the E, and a slight variation in the melody on the top gives it more color. It's easy to hear the 5 at the end when it's by itself. Let's go on. My next example is another interlocking hands pattern that uses modal exchange. We've got a simple color here. Do you hear that in 7? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This is a set of fourths. And I'm going to actually have another set of fourths in the left hand. But that's just going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we've kind of got 7 against 6. In other words, a long, long interference of periodicity pattern. And we're going to just sit in this one harmonic space. We're not going to change this sort of B minor sound. And we might wiggle the bottom bass note. You'll hear what I mean when we get there. So this 7 in the right hand gets joined by the 6. And then the bass starts changing, emphasizes the difference between the two patterns. I love sitting in a space like that. It's meditative and it's kind of hard because you want to keep something steady and then have the other thing doing a different rhythm. Let's go on. My next example is an easier to play version of the same concept. Now you'll see that it says C major 6 here, but when I put the F in the bass, it becomes clear what it really is, right? And then the adjustment to this kind of an A7 sound, major 3rd, 7th. So these two things work together in an interesting way. So the right hand has 4 notes, and then the left 3 over 4. It's not a polyrhythm, it's an interference of periodicity. It's polymetrical, perhaps. Sometimes just adding a change in the high note in a pattern will create enough interest to just keep something like this rolling forward. Let's go on. Here's another 3 over 4 pattern, and this one uses alternating hands. I'm kind of drumming, I call it drumming the pattern. Those 4 notes against those 3, and I'm going right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Again, I'm getting that sort of 12-beat phrase. It's got interference of periodicity. It's polymmetrical. But because I'm drumming the hands, the effect is of a kind of a constantly shifting melody instead of sets of harmonies. The right hand, the left. This is just kind of an A major sound or an F sharp minor sound. So here we go into it. And then shifting to sort of a A minor sound, right? So it's a major minor shift. And now the left hand alternating bass notes gives us a 6-note phrase instead of a 3-note phrase. So it's slightly longer energy. And you hear the 3 at the end. When you stop one hand, it sounds like the rhythm gets bumped over by an 8th note or a 16th note, doesn't it? Well, let's go on to our next example. I've got 2 more. I guess strictly speaking, this one isn't interlocking hands at all. It's just a kind of a big 3 against 4 rhythm with a very thick sound. So in my left hand, this set of fourths. In my right, this. So it's just a simple kind of 3 against 4. And playing 3 against 4 is its own challenge, but I get a big kick out of it. And we got a thick sound doing this, and then we're just going to modally shift it as we go along. So this is sort of just, what key is it? We're not sure. Is it some sort of D sound? I guess so. I'm actually thinking of it as C major and C minor with a D in the bass. You can see I've done the alternating note in the middle trick here to create a slightly longer phrase. And that's something that's fairly easy to do if you're a pianist once you get the feeling of a shape. We've got one more. My last example makes a pretty visual pattern. You can see it coming here. We're going to use 4 notes in one hand and 3 notes in the other, but a 4-note shape, right? And this one hand kind of just goes up, a D flat major chord sound, and then the other hand notes from the same sound. What we're going to do is we're going to go up left hand, up right, down left. And because the hands are interpenetrating, interlocking, the shape has a little melodic circle in the middle of it. And that's what gives it the signature sound. And the D flat major 7 or major 9 gives way to D minor, or I don't know, they call it F major here, but you get the sound. So neo-Riemannian slide. This is a beautiful, tranquil sound, which I think is kind of cinematic. It's a kind of a supporting backing track sound. Now we're in D major. I had to modulate again and then back down to the D minor and then back down to the D flat. This texture, this kind of instrumental form is what I default to, and I'm just sitting around noodling, creating colors on the piano. I don't know exactly where it fits in the wide musical spectrum of the world. It's not exactly melodic. Its rhythmic components are sometimes impenetrable, and yet the texture itself has feeling and meaning for me. And I get a big kick out of just doing it with my hands. But it doesn't have to be something that you play, because we have DAWs now that can create multiple layers and multiple time signatures, and even, you know, meters and even key signatures in different layers. We can do this kind of thing with planning and just kind of one layer at a time. Just imagine, what would it be like if a lot of composition is the result of the question, what if? We're trying to satisfy our curiosity. And some of the best new stuff comes out of the pursuit of questions like that. Well, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell to be notified when I do my videos, and I'll see you next time.